The Chicago Bulls defeated Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs 114-95. With just 7 points in the game, the youngster had the worst performance of the year, 11 points less than his season average. Considering how close the Spurs were to defeating the Bulls in their prior meeting, the crushing defeat was very unexpected. What is happening between Wembanyama and Spurs? With 7 points and 5 rebounds, number one choice Victor Wembanyama didn't have a terrific game. Zach Collins, the Spurs sixth player, played 28 minutes, while the rookie only played 22. However, other supporters point the blame for Wembanyama's inconsistencies throughout the game at the coaches. Fans have taken to social media to vent their dissatisfaction at head coach Greg Popovich, accusing the seasoned coach of maybe mishandling Wembanyama. If only his colleagues had been more committed to passing the ball to the French star, he could have scored more points. He did influence several elements of the game. In addition, the first choice in this year's draft added 3 blocks, 2 steals, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Stacey King, a former NBA player who is currently a color analyst for the Bulls, said the following regarding the Spurs' performance: "How you miss a 7'4" guy is beyond me. I simply don't get it." Cool. That he injured the Bulls in San Antonio by simply tossing the ball up there and allowing him to grab it. The Spurs team appears hesitant to give it to him. Wembanyama is your number one player, and everyone else has to figure out their place in the lineup after that. After seeing this team twice, it appears like the players are vying for the top spot. You're not. I hate to break that to you. Victor Wembanyama scored 10 points and pulled down 11 rebounds in the first half of the Bulls vs. Spurs game. With 21 points, 20 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks, and 1 steal at the end of the game, he was quite successful. The 19-year-old Frenchman made history by being the youngest player to ever finish a game with at least 20 points and 20 rebounds. During the first Bulls-Spurs game, former Spursian Elliott made repeated remarks similar to what Stacey King said. Elliott, a member of the team's broadcast crew, was perplexed as to why San Antonio was consistently unable to provide Wembanyama with an offensive ball. Victor Wembanyama only took 8 shots in his 7-point performance against the Chicago Bulls. The backup center for the San Antonio Spurs, Zach Collins, had 10 chances. Not even the Bulls' defense kept Wemby in check during the contest. It seemed as though the Spurs were unable to motivate their finest player. The point guard experiment by the San Antonio Spurs has contributed to Victor Wembanyama's struggles. After selecting Victor Wembanyama in the first round of the draft, the San Antonio Spurs intended to start their best players. Jeremy Sochan, a forward who has never played point guard, was chosen by coach Greg Popovich to lead the offense. Many basketball observers begged Pop and the Spurs front office to give Wembanyama a much better playmaker over the most of the season. The experiment was only put an end to by San Antonio in the team's opening contest against the Chicago Bulls. Devin Vassell and Malaki Branham handled the ball more frequently under Popovich. What do supporters think of Victor Wembanyama's cooperation with the now depleted Spurs? The Spurs are no strangers to producing gifted big guys. However, the formerly reliable franchise hasn't been strong in years. Wembanyama, who is already regarded as the best prospect ever, will now emulate 2 of the greatest big men in NBA history, Tim Duncan and David Robinson. After Robinson retired, Duncan led the Spurs to 3 more championships, capping their joint success with 2. Wembanyama is fortunate that Popovich, who coached Duncan and Robinson, is still available to assist with his development. Nevertheless, Wembanyama is a very different player from conventional big men like Robinson or Duncan, who excelled when playing in the post with their backs to the hoop. Wembanyama can score at all 3 levels of the floor with ease. He can dribble around opponents with skill and makes jump shots that are beyond the reach of guys his stature. For Popovich, it will be a novel experience. With 5 titles, the Spurs are the 5th most successful team in NBA history. Popovich led the team to victory from 1999 to 2014. The Spurs established a nucleus that served as the cornerstone of a dynasty with Duncan Parker and Manu Ginobili. Duncan, who was named the team's most valuable player in 2002 and 2003, was by far the greatest player. In order to win titles, his Spurs also had to overcome a lot of outstanding players and teams. Their victories over Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal-led Lakers teams were in the 1999 and 2003 Western Conference playoffs. They defeated LeBron James's Cleveland Cavaliers in the 2007 NBA Finals. San Antonio's talent, coaching, and surroundings were all kind of perfect. Bryant remarked in 2020 on the podcast All the Smoke, "It is likely that we would have won 10 straight games if they had not been in the photo." The Spurs were regarded as the NBA's model team when they were winning because they had a fantastic coach and players that were willing to buy into a system. However, that mystery has vanished. The Spurs have not qualified for the postseason since 2019 and are now viewed as a target in the league. Before the 2022-23 season started in September, Popovich gave an open assessment of the team's situation at a press conference. "Nobody here should go to Vegas with the thought of betting on us to win the championship," he declared. "I'm sure someone will comment, 'Oh my goodness, what a Debbie Downer.' There is a possibility. What if they work really hard? It's probably not going to happen." Popovich was accurate. With 22 victories, the Spurs have the third lowest win total in team history. Wembanyama might not have an established big man like Robinson on the team to guide him in the right direction. Unlike Duncan, just 3 players on the Spurs' roster this season have more than 4 years of experience, indicating how youthful the team is. Wembanyama will emerge as the team's finest player, and he will be the one to bring back the prominence of one of the most illustrious teams in the league. Is it time for Wembanyama to assume the center position for the San Antonio Spurs? It's evident from just 4 games played that Victor Wembanyama is the best player the San Antonio Spurs should be starting at center. A few days ago, the San Antonio Spurs defeated the Los Angeles Lakers 129-115 to win their first game in well over a couple months. Victor Wembanyama was unsurprisingly the focal point of the game, even though Devin Vassell led the Spurs and is receiving the recognition he deserves. Wembanyama pulled down 15 rebounds, scored 13 points, and had 2 blocks in the victory. He matched Dwight Howard's record for the most consecutive double-doubles by an adolescent with his 7th consecutive double-double. Zach Collins was benched during the victory, making Wembanyama's 4th game in the starting center position. Before, Jeremy Sokin played point guard, and the two shared the front court. Only one of the Spurs' previous 4 games has ended in a double-digit loss. Wembanyama is the perfect center, but the youthful Spurs are still developing as a team. Having a 7'5" player in the paint is really standard basketball. The Spurs plan to start Wembley at power forward and were very upfront about their experimentation early in the season. What are your thoughts on the tension that seems to exist between Wembanyama and the Spurs? Do you think that suggests the team will suffer more losses? Do share your opinions on this in the comments section. For more interesting stories and updates, subscribe to our channel and do not forget to press the bell icon for notifications. Goodbye.